Hey guys, take two. We are Sean and Christy. This is Long Long Honeymoon. We're coming to you from the most remote location we have ever attempted to broadcast from before. Guess where? Can anybody figure it out?
Any
Well,
guesses? Anybody out there? Can anybody hear us? Can anybody see us? Chime in and let us know where you're watching from,
yeah.
and we will let you know where we're broadcasting from.
Somebody says Florida.
Oh, Carl is he's guessing Asia, I think.
Somebody said Tennessee. Somebody
Um,
said Ontario.
Hi, Jim.
Jim Pratt already knows.
Thanks for tuning in, Jim. Catherine
Catherine's in
Sykes.
Greensboro, North Carolina.
Welcome, Catherine.
Yeah.
Fort Hood, Texas. Scottsdale, Arizona. Vestavia, Alabama. Michigan, East Coast, Houston. Everybody is awake tonight. Salt Lake City, Toronto, Lake Martin, Alabama. That's sort of in our neck of the woods back home.
Wow.
Wow, I'm so glad you guys joined us tonight. This is awesome.
Has anybody figured out where we are?
Yeah, specifically. Somebody sort of guessed the region that we're in.
Yeah.
But have you paid attention to exactly where we are?
Jim Pratt knows. Adam says jail. That was a pretty good guess.
Next to each other? Well, yeah, that's true. Jim didn't quite know.
Yeah. Jim said Bangkok.
We were in Bangkok.
Further away than Bangkok.
We are more remote than Bangkok.
Yeah.
We are not in Thailand anymore. Any guesses? Anybody? Any more guesses?
Well, this is a tough one.
It is a tough one. We're not in Japan. We're not in India. We are in a country that borders India.
Yeah. Somebody says Nepal.
No.
No.
It's too hot here for it to be Nepal.
Yeah.
We're not in China. Not in Australia.
Phnom Penh. Good
Nope.
guess. But
Not
no.
Tibet or Croatia. Not in Pakistan.
Not in Bangladesh. Not in
No.
Mongolia. You guys are getting pretty close,
You're getting
though.
close. North Korea.
Myanmar. David H.
H.
says. Myanmar.
You got it, David H.
Myanmar.
Ding, ding, ding. You're
We
the
are
winner of chicken
in
dinner.
Myanmar, also known as Burma,
Yeah.
and we're in a city called Yangon,
Yep.
spelled Yangon.
Yes.
But they say Yangon.
Yep.
And it's really been a great visit here. This has been our first time to Myanmar. Basically, you go to Thailand and hang a hard left. Just keep on going. This is a country that's really, we're just getting started.
Yeah.
Okay.
James Reed said former British colony, and
That's
he's
right.
right. In fact, 2 days ago was the National Independence Day from when they gained their independence from Great Britain. So it was a big celebration here. It was pretty fun. So it was a neat time to be here.
Hi, Galen in Birmingham. Todd says Myanmar was in the Top Gun movie. I didn't realize that.
I didn't realize that either. I don't know if I've ever watched Top Gun all the way through, so.
Yeah, I hate to admit it. You lose your 80s card if you didn't watch Top Gun.
Sorry.
But I don't think I did either.
I can only take so much Tom Cruise.
You were probably too young to watch Top Gun.
No, I mean, I've seen parts of it. It was just not my taste.
40 Deluxe says there was former British rule just about everywhere. That's true. They used to say the sun never set on the British Empire.
Yep.
So.
But Sharon says she can't believe we ate those bugs.
Yeah, we actually had some sauteed crickets last night. I know that sounds completely bizarre, but they're a lot better than you might think. And when I was looking at this big plate of crickets, I was thinking to myself, I ate shrimp, I ate lobster.
Yep.
I've eaten crawdads, which I don't really like.
But we eat snails.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, if we've
not
eaten all
not
those
frequently,
things,
mind you.
Yeah, but I mean, I actually do like snails in France and other places. You put some garlic on them and it tastes pretty darn good.
Happy places. I have to be starving before I ate a cricket. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's funny because we were having dinner. We have a friend here who is Thai.
Yes.
And so she grew up, eating some of these foods that are quite exotic to us. And she didn't skip a beat. She was like, "Pop, pop," just
Yeah.
like she was eating popcorn.
Yeah,
you
to
know,
her it was just, totally normal,
crawfish.
just a normal snack. So, um, since she was doing it, we thought, well, okay, we'll do it.
Somebody says it's called crawfish, not crawdads. Yeah, I think if you grew up in
I think it
Alabama,
depends on where you grew up.
you call
Sorry.
them crawdaddies.
Yeah. Actually, I
Showing
took
my
the legs
roots.
off when I ate them, but our friend from Thailand just ate the whole thing, legs and all. So I think it just depends on your preference.
Somebody asked why we're in Myanmar. Well, we're traveling with some friends, and our friends came through here about a decade ago, and they were kind of curious to see what might have changed here, and we were curious to see it for the first time. And it's just a really striking country so far. Now we're just getting started.
And I think our next stop is probably going to be the most picturesque and probably the place that you've actually seen photos of and you just don't know it.
Yeah.
We're heading to a town called Bagan, and they have, I think, something like 400 temples in this tiny town, and they're just very colorful and scenic, and I think it's just going to be something really interesting to see. So we're looking forward to it. Somebody
Yeah.
asked if we've tried durian. If you're like me, I had no idea what durian was before we came to Asia last year. And durian is a fruit. The outside of it looks like a spiky weapon. But it's a fruit that you cut open, and it sort of has like a meaty interior that's really sweet and almost like the consistency of cake. So, but it has a really strong smell, and a lot of places will not let you bring it inside. So,
Here's somebody who's friends with Gene and Paige Quattlebaum. They're great friends of
yes,
ours. Good Simple Living.
we actually just saw them at our hometown of Birmingham a couple of weeks ago. So,
Yep. Gene
um,
Quattlebaum kept me out of jail many times.
yeah, the durian has a really strong smell. Some people are more sensitive to it than others. It doesn't really bother me, so um, it's just whatever. Somebody is asking how you travel from place to place here. Honestly, air travel in Asia is really cheap. I think most of their airlines here are subsidized from the government, so you can get a one-way ticket for less than $100, usually only a couple of days in advance. So it's cheaper than anything we usually have in the U.S. on short-term notice. So it's pretty easy to hop around
They're
from
usually
town
pretty
to
good.
town. Yeah,
I
and
mean,
they're
we've
usually
been pretty
pretty
happy
nice.
with
I
most
mean,
of them.
the other day when we flew from Bangkok to here in Yangon, it was an hour and 15-minute flight, and we were served a full meal and snacks on an hour and 15-minute flight. And we laughed because in the US on our way over here, we flew from Birmingham to Atlanta and Atlanta to Seattle to visit with Sean's sister before we came here. And that flight from Atlanta to Seattle was almost a 6-hour flight. And we didn't get a meal, we only got a snack. So that tells you the difference. So we thought that was pretty funny.
Hello, Michigan fireman. This is hello, Loloho.
Hi, guys. Somebody says they're
April.
going through Birmingham right now. Hi, April.
You might be curious about what time it is now here, and I would be curious as well. It's around 7:30, 7:45 a.m.
Yeah, actually, it's 8 a.m. here
Yeah.
because they're a half hour different than the time zone should be. It's something to do with India being in charge of the time zone of this region, and India didn't want to be on the same time as Pakistan back in the day. And so they decided they would change it by a half hour. So we're actually off by a half hour. So it's a little confusing, but thank goodness we have smartphones to look at and tell us the time.
You know, I will say if you have any interest in some of our international travels, be sure if you're on Instagram, follow us on Instagram because we've been uploading a lot of stories and we're going to be uploading more photographs. You know, a couple days ago, we went to one of probably the most photogenic places we've ever seen ever. And it's a famous Buddhist temple here in Yangon.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called Shwadagon Pagoda,
Yeah, Shwedagon
Shwedagon
Pagoda.
Pagoda,
And it
and
was
it's so
beautiful.
beautiful. Now it's like a city of gold almost.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful during the day, and then when the sun sets at night, it's really lit up, and they light candles all around it, and it's just really one of the most scenic, beautiful places we've ever been. And so we're excited about seeing more of these pagodas as we travel through the country. We've had a lot of great food here, not just crickets.
Yeah. The food here has been great. Oh, Little Kid at Heart says they passed through Birmingham and thought of us. Thanks for
Thanks, little kid.
supporting us, little kid. Yeah, the food here has been great. Last night we went to a street market. There were 6 people in our group. We had, I can't even tell how many beers we had between the 6 of us, I'm telling on us. And we had so much food we couldn't eat it all. And our total bill was about $57 for the 6 of us.
Right.
And the food was amazing. We had like lemon chicken, we had a hot and sweet chicken, we had chicken curry, we had a big thing of seafood noodles that had scallops and shrimp in it. So the food has really been amazing. And the desserts here are great too.
It's been
You can't
very,
go wrong.
very affordable. You know, like
Yeah,
the prices
really
are
cheap.
good, and not only has the food been amazing, really the people have been so warm and
Super
friendly.
friendly.
I mean, we've had so many great experiences just interacting with locals.
Yeah, the first night we were here, actually, we went to a street food market, sat down at a little place to eat, and locals around us were so excited that we're here. They were sending over beer, they were sending over different food for us to try. They were just excited for us to learn about their culture and about their food, and just wanted us to feel welcome. And it was really sweet and really nice. So we felt like we made friends here, just walking down the street and shaking hands with people. And it's kind of funny because they don't really get a ton of Westerners here, especially from the United States. So we're sort of a oddity, I think. And a
We're
lot
sort
of
of exotic.
places, a lot of places we go, especially when you have blonde hair, and a couple of people we're traveling with also have blonde hair. People come up to you and they want to take a picture with you because they've never seen somebody like that before. So that's kind of fun, to just be stopped and have somebody want a picture with you. It's a little bizarre, but they're super sweet. And
Yeah, my friend and I were walking through the park a couple of days ago, and Myanmar just celebrated their Independence Day. It's kind of like their 4th of July, except it's the 4th of January. And so, our hotel happens to be right next to this big park downtown. So there were big celebrations going on. And I walked through there with my friend, and we were stopped again and again. And once you stop and start posing for photos with people, more people come up.
stop. Yeah.
And but it's a lot of fun. And of course, we like to have photos with them too. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, and we've been learning about the local culture as far as whenever you tour a pagoda temple, there are monks there that will stop and speak to you. Tour guides that will sort of tell you more about what the Buddhist faith believes and that sort of thing. I'm specifically answering Jim Pratt's question because he wanted to know what we were doing pouring water on the Buddha statue when we were at the Shwedagon Pagoda. And that is something, if I'm remembering correctly, that Buddhists do, and they encourage other people to do it. It's sort of like a cleanse. It's leaving all of your bad energy, your negative thoughts in the past, and starting fresh. So they do it regularly, and they encourage people to do it when they come. And so I thought that was a really cool tradition, and just sort of a physical way of sort of clearing things, negativity from your mind, a physical action that you can do. So we did that, and it was really beautiful.
There are 7 different stations at the pagoda, and you choose the station that's related to the day of the week
that you were
born on.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, I was born on a Monday,
right?
And my Buddhist animal is a tiger.
Yeah.
And so I would go to the Buddha station for Monday that had a tiger, and you pour water
You pour
not
water
only
on
on
the
the
Buddha
Buddha, but
and
also on the
your
tiger.
animal. Yeah. And so I was born on a Sunday, so my animal was actually I think
Cricket.
no. I think it's called a paragon. It's actually a mythical creature. It's like a type of bird or something. So mine isn't even a real living creature, but it was very interesting to learn about. And it's funny because all the guides, a lot of people, I guess, don't know what day of the week they were born on. So a lot of the guides you hire, they have a little book and you can flip to the year and the day you were born and it'll tell you what day of the week you were born on. And in the Buddhist culture, that's very important to know. So, and if you're born on a Wednesday, you're special because they have two different animals, one for AM births and one for PM births. So that's kind of interesting. So if you were born on a Wednesday, you need to know what time of day you were born.
There's Goldilocks.
Oh, hi, Goldilocks.
Actually, that's an interesting. Goldilocks asked, "Do you wish you could take the Airstream on overseas trips?" In a lot of ways, we do.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Of course, we briefly maybe looked into shipping, but it would be so cost prohibitive to
Yeah.
ship it overseas. It just doesn't make any sense to do it.
In a lot of these Asian countries, once you get out of the city, the road conditions deteriorate pretty extremely.
Yeah, and
So
they don't really have like RVing
yeah, there would
facilities and
be no sort of
infrastructure.
facility. So I think a Western style RV would be tough to travel with. I think you would need more of a like a camper van or a European RV because most of those have cassette toilets that can be emptied into a regular toilet. You don't have to have a specific dump station. And a lot of them, the gray water just dumps on the ground. So it's sort of a different type of camping. And in fact, we've actually talked about going to Europe and renting an RV there just to try it for a few weeks. We actually camped with our friend Armin, who is the head of Airstream in Europe. He lives in Germany. And we camped with him in an Airstream a couple of years ago in Germany. And it was a lot of fun. It was cool to learn the systems of Airstreams in Europe and sort of how they differ from the ones in the US. And Armin goes to these amazing campgrounds all over Europe with his Airstream in Switzerland and Italy and the coast of France. And they're just so scenic and beautiful. So I think that's something that we're going to try to look into for the next year or two, just for a couple of weeks, just to try it and see what it would be like, just to have something different.
You know what's remarkable is Wally Byam, the founder of Airstream, he led caravans around the world back in the 50s and 60s. And they actually did a caravan in Thailand in the early 1960s, I believe. So he really believed in international travel and he believed in taking Airstreams everywhere. I don't know how they did
I don't either.
that.
But one thing they did have on those caravans is they had like a chase crew. So they had a crew of a couple of trucks with mechanics and all the different parts that they might need if something went wrong, extra tires, extra wheels. So they did have support following them. And I guess when you've got a crowd of, 25, 30 trailers, you got that many people, something goes wrong for one of the rigs, you've probably got somebody that knows how to fix whatever's gone wrong. So that's probably was pretty helpful back then.
We actually have a friend. His name is Dale Schwamborn. He was Wally Byam's nephew. And
Yeah.
he traveled with Wally and Airstream to many different locations around the world, including the Africa caravan. And this was
Yeah.
a famous sort of caravan that went from South Africa all the way up to Egypt.
Shouting out Burke. Hi, Burke Forsyth. Thanks for being a supporter.
Yeah. Thank you.
We got somebody. Somebody says they loved your 50th birthday video. It was awesome learning all about your life along the way. And they said they too worked for Playboy back in the day. That's awesome.
Yeah, some people asked if I met Christy at the Playboy Mansion. I did not.
No. I've never been to the Playboy Mansion.
Little kid says they liked the birthday video.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. I really wanted to do something different for that. I mean, I've been thinking about, I think when you hit that age, you think about it. It's hard to approach that particular birthday without getting a little bit reflective.
Yeah.
And I thought it would maybe really be helpful to you guys and you would enjoy our videos more if you knew a little bit more of the backstory,
Right.
So I was sort of trying to, I guess, reflect on maybe lessons I'd learned over the past several decades, and also share with you guys just some of that history.
Yeah, sort of where you came from,
Yeah,
how you got here, how we ended up doing this. So,
there's Vinny.
hey, Vinny, I hope you're feeling better. I know you've had a cold. Let's
Vinny had
see. So it's Monday morning here. So I think we're 12 and a half or 11 and a half hours ahead of Central Time Zone. So just a little info there.
Brian asked what our favorite food over here so far was. I like curries personally, so
Yeah.
at dinner I'm usually ordering some kind of curry. Now I did try a local dish called mohinga, and I met a girl who told me this was her favorite local dish. I mean, she's a local, and so I tried it because it was her favorite, and it was kind of like a bowl of gravy with some noodles and some fried fish and so forth. I mean, literally gravy. It was really interesting. It was good.
Mr. Roboto is
I
asking
like
if
gravy.
it's expensive here. No,
No,
it's not.
it's really
You can
inexpensive.
stay in a really nice hotel for less than $100 a night. If you're looking for a budget option, you can stay in some places as cheap as $30 or $40 a night, and they're still clean, neat, tidy. But of course, there's the opposite extreme where you can stay at the Four Seasons and it's, $400 a night. Of course, we're not staying in that option, but it is an option if somebody wants it. But street food and local restaurants here are really cheap. Like I said last night, 6 of us went to dinner in the street market. And we had, I can't even tell you how many beers, at least 6 or 7 plates of food just piled up, and our bill was like $56. So,
So less than $10 a person.
So less than $10
Food and drink.
for food and drink and dessert and all those sorts of things. So it's actually really affordable once you get here. Denise MDB60 says, I love the last Instagram post. Very photogenic. Bug eating was tough to watch. Glad you found more delicious fare. Yeah, if you've seen our last Instagram post before the announcement for this live video, you'll see Sean with 4 monks at the Shwedagon Pagoda, and Sean is wearing a traditional longchi, which is what a lot of the men here wear. It's sort of like a long skirt type of wrap. And when you experience the heat here, you'll understand why they do it. And why don't we do that in Alabama? I mean, it's hot like this there, but they're obviously smarter than we are on that front. But it is the traditional daily wear for most men here. You do see men in pants, but the longchi is probably the most popular thing.
Yeah, I tried it out of curiosity, but it actually is very comfortable, and it's cool in this climate because during the day, if you're out there in the sun, it's probably 95 or 100 degrees. I don't know. It's hot. But it's not quite as humid here, even as it gets in the South in the United States. I mean, so we grew up with heat, so you just you have to embrace it. I think.
Yeah.
If you're over here, and the launchy is actually a great way to cool off just a bit, and that's why they're so popular.
So we've had a couple of interesting questions. Several people have asked, can you drink the water here? You cannot drink the water here. It's recommended you don't drink the water here just because we are not accustomed to whatever the local, tap water has in it as far as,
bacteria or
bacteria and that sort of thing.
Something we have learned over the years, anytime we go overseas, a lot of times I will get a little bug, stomach bug or whatever, but we bring that Cipro.
Yeah,
antibiotic.
If you go to your doctor, your local doctor at home before you come, tell them where you're going. They'll give you like Cipro to take in case you get a stomach bug. They'll give you Lamodal, which if you start to get diarrhea, that'll stop that. Nausea medication, all that kind of stuff. So we bring a lot of that with us just in case, so we don't have to worry about it. But one thing about Asia, for the most part, is you can buy most of that stuff over the counter at the pharmacy. You have to ask the pharmacist for it, but you don't have to have a prescription for most antibiotics and that sort of thing. So you can just walk in, they'll sell it to you straight over the counter.
Hey, there are a lot of things. I mean,
And
frankly,
it's
you can buy
literally
over
like
here.
$2 or $3.
Like it's exactly the same medicine that we buy in the United States, except I mean, frankly, it's a lot less expensive and you don't need a prescription. You can just walk in and buy it at the pharmacy. And when I see that, I don't understand why it doesn't work that way in the United States. Tip
Oh,
from Mach 5.
Mach
Thank
5.
you.
Thank you so much for the tip.
Just
They
Merry
said,
Christmas,
sorry
Happy
I'm
New Year.
late. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you and your families. Looking forward to another great year of your awesome videos and chats. To recap, Sean's last video, My Story, The Shocking Truth, was awesome. Thank you so
Oh,
much for the tip, Mach 5.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate
I
that.
appreciate the kind comments about the video. That was definitely the most personal video that
Yeah. Well,
I've ever
besides
done.
the brain tumor video, that was pretty personal.
Yeah, but no, I would say this was more, I mean, it doesn't get much more personal than sharing a lot of those family photos and really a lot of that backstory. And I'm so pleased that you guys liked it because I think when you're creating, occasionally you have to take some risks.
Mhm.
And for me, that felt a little risky. Like I was probably a little bit nervous about the reception, but everybody was really great about it. And I really appreciate all the positive feedback on it.
The Wandering Pinto asks, have you rented an RV overseas? We have. We did the Airstream camping a couple of years ago in Germany with our friend Armin. And then back in 2009, a long time ago, we went to Argentina and we rented a camper van while we were there and went for like a weekend trip in the middle of our, travel within the cities and that sort of thing. So that was really interesting to do because, you're navigating the roads in a country where you don't really speak the language well and sort of learning the RV life in another country where they don't really have facilities. So we enjoyed it. There's a video on it on our channel. So
Yeah, in
I have to
Argentina,
go back pretty long way to find it, but it is there.
there are campgrounds in Argentina, but they're still not quite the infrastructure that we have. And so, like for gray water, you can pretty much empty gray water anywhere in Argentina. That's what they told us.
Yeah.
Black water, it had kind of a little cassette toilet type situation, and you're supposed to empty that into a toilet, an actual toilet. You just take the contents of that and put it in an actual toilet.
Somebody was asking if they have modern bathroom facilities here. They do. Most places you go will have modern Western style toilets. If you go somewhere that's sort of in the old town or off the beaten path, or a market, they will probably have squat toilets. And it is an experience. It's not a big deal for guys, but for us girls, it's a little bit of a learning curve. But actually, once you do it once, it's not that big of a deal, and it actually makes sense. So
it's funny because
it's not as scary as it sounds. I'll just say that.
While we're talking about toilets, I was talking to somebody on Instagram, and they said their impression of Asia is the toilets are either like really primitive or really advanced. And I would say there's some truth to that because probably the nicest toilets I've ever seen have been in Asia.
Yeah.
And, and arguably some of the worst or the roughest or most primitive I've seen have been in Asia too.
Yeah.
But like in Japan, in Korea, the bidet is very common.
Yeah.
And it's not like a French bidet. It's a high tech experience.
Yeah. Like with the remote control.
Yeah. Like if you follow us on Instagram, you'll see
posted some pictures.
There's a photo of a toilet that was just a public toilet in the Korean airport, like in Seoul.
Mm-hmm.
And it has just a high tech control panel. There's probably like 15 or 20 different options on that panel, buttons, that you can push to operate different things.
Northwood RV's Life. Thanks for the tip. They said, Loho, hope your new year has been great. It has been great. We sort of started this trip as early as we did because we were celebrating Sean's 50th birthday on December 29th. So we wanted to be somewhere fun and exciting for his birthday. We're very fortunate that our best friends, Mike and Angela, joined us for Sean's birthday, and we're still traveling together. We spent New Year's Eve in Bangkok and had a great time there on like a rooftop bar there in town and got to see the fireworks. And it was a really fun way to ring in the new year. And we were sort of joking, talking about what we all did when it was 1999 turning 2000, because that was sort of the last New Year's Eve that I can think of that was like a really big one, you know, because I think 2020 for a lot of people was a really big one. And we laughed because I was home in bed sick. I was in college. Sean was at the beach with his family, but he was sick, or maybe you weren't sick, but your family was all
Yeah,
sick. So
members of my
everybody was
family
just
were.
sort of like down for the count. We all sort of had really boring 1999 to 2000 New Year's Eve. So this time we made up for it, I think.
Yeah, it has really been an amazing trip so far.
Somebody was asking if you brought your Tilly hat with you. He does have
I
his Tilly
did.
hat with him. He's been wearing it. If you follow us on Instagram at Long Long Honeymoon, we've been posting a lot in our stories there. I'm trying to post more in our Long Long Honeymoon stories on Facebook. Those are just sort of quick little snippets that we can post, and you can see sort of some of the crazy experiences that we've had while we've been here. Tomorrow, we're actually doing something really incredible. If the weather cooperates, we're doing a hot air balloon ride in the morning. And so tune in because you might see some footage on our Instagram stories from that.
George says you don't seem like an introvert. You know, my understanding about the difference between introverts and extroverts, it has to do with recharging your personal energy.
Yeah.
And introverts, when they are around other people, their energy is kind of drained and goes down. And so they have to retreat and be alone for a while to recharge their personal energy.
Yeah.
Extroverts receive energy from being around other people and interacting with other people. You know, there are a lot of introverts who are performers, actors,
Yeah.
like they could get on stage and perform in front of a huge crowd. They just need to retreat occasionally to recharge their batteries.
Yeah.
And so I think that's just the difference, it's
Yeah.
where you get your energy. Like extroverts, they need to be around other people to get energy.
Yeah.
Let's
Little kid
see.
at heart, thank you very much for the tip. We appreciate it. I like that emoji that you
Yeah,
sent. That's really
that's
funny.
cute.
Somebody asked what we did with baby girl while we're here. Baby girl's with my parents, being spoiled rotten. She's technically our family dog, so she sort of goes back and forth between us and my parents. Sean is her preferred human being above all others. So she does miss Sean while we're gone, but my dad says she only mopes for the first 3 days or so, and then she
Yeah,
kind of gets over it. And
bless her little heart. We do check in on baby girl
we did a
using
lot of
video
FaceTime
chats.
videos
Yeah,
with baby girl and my parents to see how she's doing. And she's getting lots of treats and love, so she's happy.
some
Um,
people have asked. They said they've joined late and they're curious where we are. We
yeah,
are in Burma, also known as Myanmar.
Myanmar,
Myanmar is
yes.
sort of the official name. Burma is the nationality, and the British called the country Burma.
Um, let's see. How long will we be there? Where will we go next? So we're sort of planning as we go. We've only got the next 3 days booked, so we're leaving Yangon this afternoon, flying to Bagan, which is about an hour and 20-minute flight from where we are now. We'll be there for 3 nights, and from there, I think we're going to take a boat to Mandalay, and then from Mandalay, I think we'll fly to Inye Lake. And getting around between cities here is pretty cheap. You can fly usually for less than $100 one way. Sometimes as cheap as 50 or $60. It just depends on the deal you can find. But you can book them only a couple of days in advance. So we take full advantage of that and still travel by the seat of our pants, even though we're not in
Mhm.
an RV. So I know that's not for everybody, but it works for us. So if we find a place and we love it, we stay longer. And if we don't, we move on. So hopefully that answered where we are for you guys. All right.
Let's see. Somebody says, when do you start your camping? We will likely start in March, although we'll start
Yeah.
doing some stuff in February.
Yeah. So I think this year we'll probably do like a spring trip, and then we'll be back home in Alabama for a month or two, and then we'll head out again midsummer for a couple of months. So I think in the spring we're sort of deciding on where to go, but I'm kind of voting for like St. Augustine, Florida, Savannah, Georgia, Charleston. So sort of that little East Coast swing through.
Yeah, I have to say, I really love Florida during those months
Yeah,
because it's
it's a great time
still,
to be there.
yeah, it's pretty cool and not quite so humid. And, we can boondock at times and don't really need air conditioning at night.
Yeah.
So, Florida in springtime is really nice.
Kenny55 asks, do you have any of your stuff? Like, do you have your drone? Or are you kind of limited to the kinds of videos that you can take?
I do have a drone. Now, I did not bring my big boy drone, like the Phantom Pro, but I have the tiny little Mavic Mini. So it's the smallest one they make. It's less than 250 grams in weight. And I have not really flown it yet. I've been pretty cautious about flying it because we've been both in Bangkok and here in Yangon, which is the capital of Myanmar. And I've heard that if you fly them around government buildings, you're asking for trouble. Okay, so I don't want trouble, but I think when we're in the countryside later today and tomorrow, I'll probably have the opportunity to fly it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be posting some videos from the drone probably on our Instagram page and Facebook page. And eventually they'll work into our YouTube videos as well.
Yeah.
Amy and
Joe Fallis said that they loved your 50th video.
Thank
and
you,
they
guys.
just made the milestone as well. So happy birthday to you guys.
Yeah, I really thank all of you for your kind comments about that video. And I really appreciate you taking the time to watch it and learn a little bit more about my story. I always actually find that I enjoy videos more. I enjoy books more if I know something about the author, or something about the people behind them,
Yeah.
behind the videos, like who's creating them. So I really think for a lot of people, maybe watching that video will enhance your enjoyment of a lot of our other stuff. And you can sort of see how, whether it's Yellowstone or some of the humor in our videos, how it all sort of links back to some of those experiences 20 or 30 years ago.
I want to give a quick shout out to Jim Pratt. He is a Long Honeymoon subscriber and friend that we made in the last couple of years, and he is taking care of deleting the trolls that come in for these live events. So people that leave nasty or mean comments, he's helping us patrol that during the live. So he volunteered to do that, and we greatly appreciate it. It's a big help to us because that way we can focus on your questions and not worrying about that stuff so much. So it makes it more pleasant for all of us.
Thank you, Jim. I always say, like, deleting trolls is like playing, you remember the whack-a-mole game?
Yeah.
You pound one down and another one pops up, But that's funny.
Hi, Lisa in Idaho. Steve Castro wants to know how the two of us met.
Goldust says she loved the birthday video.
Yeah. Somebody says, do you feel unsafe at all as Americans? I haven't really. Thailand to me is probably one of the safest places I have ever visited. Myanmar, I don't know if I feel quite as safe as Thailand just because Thailand is so safe. But I certainly have not felt the least bit threatened in any way. I mean, it's safer than a lot of places we visit in the United States. So,
yeah, like we walked up on a street party last night, and there were probably 200 people like gathered around in a circle watching these people dance.
Street dance.
Yeah, street dance.
And they were so happy we were there. They were offering us chairs to stand on so we could see, and they were welcoming us, and the little kids were happy to see us. So really, most people are so excited that you're here. They're so friendly, and you just feel really welcomed, almost overwhelmingly so, So it's been really, really fun and really interesting. Andrew, I'm not going to say your last name because I'm going to say it wrong. He wants to know if you were not there with friends that know something about the area you're visiting, would you feel intimidated on what to eat or what to say? Honestly,
Where to stay?
no. Or where to stay. Honestly, no, mainly because the common language in most of these Asian countries is English, because that's how the Thai speak to the the Burmese people, that's how they speak to the Cambodians, that's how they speak to the Chinese and the Japanese. English is their common language. So it's not hard to find people that speak English. And there's so many resources online to find information about where to stay, what to see, what to do. The internet's an amazing thing. And one thing that's really cool about these countries is if you bring an unlocked smartphone, when you get off the plane and the airport, they sell SIM cards with data packages. I think our card for Myanmar is good for 30 days, and it was basically, I think, $8 for 30 days of data. And so once they pop that in your phone, you're connected, and everywhere you go, you've got your smartphone. You can look everything up. You can use a translator if you need to. You know, you can translate the currency, look up directions, all that kind of stuff. So it's really made international travel way easier than it used to be.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have ever messed around with Google Translate, for example. Like, there are different translation apps, but it's really remarkable. You can type up a full paragraph in English and instantly translate it to Thai, for example, and it will translate the text, and then it will speak the text for you if you want. Back like if you watched my bio video, back when I was teaching English in Czechoslovakia, obviously this was before the internet. I could only call home once a week. Like, international phone calls were super expensive at the time. And so I would budget myself. I guess I was calling collect to my parents, to be honest. Because I think a phone call back then would cost 25 or $30. And, I was making $120 a month. It would have been my entire week's salary for
Yeah, for
one
one phone
brief
call.
phone call. And so, there was no translation. I carried around a thick dictionary and just to translate individual words,
Yeah.
So you have so many more resources today. The world really has gotten smaller, and that
Yes.
it's sort of a cliched term, but it's amazing actually. Because, like, we go to these different places, we meet people, make friends, we friend them on social media,
Yeah. So we're
and
friends with people on Facebook that we've met here in the last few days. So that's really cool.
yeah, it's really amazing.
Somebody that was just tuning in wanted to know where we are. Just an update if you're new to the video here. We are in Yangon, Myanmar, and we came here from Bangkok, Thailand. So Chuck Hastings asked, he says, your chili recipe has become my go-to. Do you have any plans to share more recipes? I don't have any in the queue right now,
I
but
say
it might
yes.
be something that I'll work on if you're interested.
Actually, what I would like for us to do, Chrissy's mom makes an incredible breakfast. Like, if you
Yeah.
like breakfast, I like, traditional
Homemade biscuits and
American
gravy.
breakfast,
Yeah.
like with bacon and scrambled eggs and, yeah, the biscuits and gravy, like buttermilk biscuits. Just really, oh,
Oh,
Mike Lee,
Mike
thank you so
Lee, thank you
much.
so much for the tip. That's
That's
very
super kind of
generous.
you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Shout out to Mike Lee. Thank you so
Hi,
much.
Mike.
But I think we need to do a birthday. I mean, sorry, somebody said birthday. We need to do a breakfast video.
Yeah, with my mom. So she can, I've made her breakfast before, but I certainly don't do it enough to do it well. And so we would have to convince her to get on camera. So we'll see if we can do that when we get back home.
Shout out to Ernest from Fallon, Nevada. Mark 5 says, Mike Lee,
you are the
man.
man.
Mike Lee is the man.
You are the man, definitely.
Thank you,
very
Mike.
much.
You're awesome.
Yeah, a lot of people are chiming in and saying that they are introverts as well. They need their quiet time after people.
Somebody asked if locals here have pets. I think they do. I mean, I see dogs running
Yeah,
around.
you see dogs with collars and cats, sitting around. So people definitely have pets here for sure.
Carolyn says she's headed to Quartzsite in the morning. Yeah, this is the time of year when quartzite is really hopping.
Yeah, this is when Quartzsite is totally booming. So you'll have a good time. There are a lot of RVers there, a lot going on. Probably for the next 2 weeks or so, I would say.
Hmm.
Um, so have fun. Yeah, we're not there this year, but somebody else is asking again what time it is here now.
It's early.
Yeah, it's early. Right now it is 8:51 a.m. on Monday morning, January 6th. So,
Was not easy crawling out of bed, to be
yeah.
honest.
Let's see. It says, when
So,
traveling, do you have protection from intruders? Putting it nicely. Well, most of the hotels we stay in have security at the door.
yeah,
They don't just let anybody walk in off the street. So I'm not really concerned at all in our hotel rooms by any means. Um, Thailand is such a peaceful country. They haven't been in a war in over 300 years. It's almost really just not their culture to have physical altercations. Now, I'm sure that it does happen somewhere sometime, but it's pretty unusual to hear about any sort of violent crime. I think the one thing that you might hear about occasionally is a pickpocket, but even that, I've never really
yeah, even
had
that, I haven't really
anybody
felt
that's
any
had
risk
an
of that.
experience of that, or yeah,
I'm sure it could happen, but
it's just
we haven't seen
doesn't
it,
really seem
haven't
to be
felt.
their culture. I think the one thing that might happen to you is you might get a bad price on something if you don't haggle in the market or with a cab driver or with a tuk-tuk driver. You might pay an extra couple of dollars to get somewhere. So if that's the worst scam that happens to you, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels remarkably safe over here. I guess,
Yeah.
anything could happen anywhere, but, Don and Denise said they'll be praying for our safety. Thank you so
Oh, thank
much.
you during our flights and traveling. We certainly appreciate that.
Edward asked, have you ever been to the Philippines? Yes,
Yes.
we went last year about this time,
Yeah,
and we
and
loved it. We
it
had a
was
great time.
beautiful. So beautiful. The best snorkeling I've ever done in my life. The coral reefs in the Philippines had so much sea life. Huge sea turtles that would just swim right past you. It was really, really beautiful. So, if you get a chance to go, I would highly recommend it.
Yeah, and again, the Philippines is another very affordable destination. There are a lot of people who actually retire to the Philippines because you can live a very good lifestyle for not a whole lot of money every month.
Yeah.
Again, like I'm talking about with the medicines, you can walk into a pharmacy, you don't have to have a prescription. You can purchase the medicines you need right over the counter, and
Mm-hmm.
they cost a fraction of the cost that we pay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it, guys. I don't know, but
Jerry P says they are booked in St. Augustine in the spring. Hope we see you there. Who knows? Yeah, if
yeah.
anybody watching has recommendations, favorite places to stay or see or do things in the St. Augustine, Savannah, Charleston area, sort of that region, please send us a private message and let us know, because we want to see the best stuff. Let's see. Airstream nuts and bolts. How you doing?
Hey, Ronnie.
We hope Alabama's doing well. He says you will soon be able to boondock all you want.
Yep.
We're looking forward to it. That's going to be an exciting upgrade and video that we've got planned.
Yeah, if you guys
when we
have
get
any
back.
interest in solar, we're going to be doing a complete solar overhaul of our Airstream.
People have been asking us for years, when are you going to do solar? When are you going to do it? And we're finally doing it. So
And we're going to be
stay
working with
tuned.
Ronnie at Airstream Nuts and Bolts.
Yeah.
He's a friend of ours in Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be a pretty thorough solar overhaul that will allow us to boondock long term, really never needing an electrical hookup for much of anything except maybe for air conditioning. But I think
Yeah.
we'll even be able to run the air conditioning for an hour
A few
or two.
hours. Yeah.
So-
Jeffrey Strait says that St. Augustine is where he lives. It might be difficult to get a campsite in the spring, but give him a call. He might can hook us up. All
Cool.
right, Jeffrey, we might be contacting you.
Selena says you were living the life, the Playboy Mansion. Really? Yeah, it was my at the end of my 20s, I remember thinking to myself, wow, that was a good decade. I don't know if I'll ever quite top that. It
Yeah.
was a life. It was a remarkable time, I mean, I'm really happy that you guys liked the story. And just doing that company with my friends made it even more special, I think, because it was a dream job, a true dream job. Let's
All
see. Somebody says
right.
the street dancing and stuff would be the coolest part of the culture to see. You
It's
know,
definitely neat.
I if you watch that bio video, I've loved international travel since I went over to Czechoslovakia in the early '90s, and at that time I was living by myself. Again, I'm an introvert. I can live by myself quite happily, to be honest. But I love being kind of a fly on the wall in these different places. Like yesterday, I went to the park here in Yangon, Myanmar, and I just lingered in the park for a couple of hours and just observed what was going on. And it's just so enjoyable, I think, to step into a completely different culture
Mm.
and just learn to sit back and absorb it. I mean, there are a lot of people in this world living a completely different lifestyle than we live in the United States, and they're living great, happy, fulfilling lives. And it's just interesting to experience that. Haven't seen it all. That says we love the banana slicer. Got one for Christmas last year. Our 5-year-old grandson loves using it. Yes, the
That's
Hutzler
hilarious.
571 banana slicer. That's awesome.
Uh,
Catherine says the video of your life lessons was great. Plus, who knew you hung out at the Playboy Mansion? That's right. Thank you, Catherine.
yeah. Happy Place Camping says, I'm sure your parents were happy to pay for your calls just to know that you were safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think your mom was always like, call, please
Actually,
call.
there's a story to that. When I was teaching in Czechoslovakia, I got sick, okay, because I had never had chicken pox before. And I was teaching a bunch of young school children. And I remember it was one Sunday afternoon, I started to feel a fever coming on and started to feel ill. And when I woke up, I guess the next morning, I realized I could not get up and go into school. And there was a neighbor in my building, and I went and I think I knocked on his door and said, I'm really sick. I can't make it to school today. Can you tell them that I'm not coming in? And my neighbor's name was Juraj Pekarovich. And he said, we're going to help you and we're going to get you taken care of. And his father was a doctor in the local hospital. And so he took me to the local hospital, and then they, diagnosed me with chicken pox. And so I was actually put into a quarantine ward because the government or the doctors didn't want me just mingling
Walking
with the
around
public
in
with chicken
society.
pox. So I spent about
Also, because he didn't have anybody there to take care of him or look after him. So they didn't want to send him home alone.
so I actually spent 3 weeks in the hospital in Bratislava. And
In quarantine.
yeah, you talk about being introverted or just like being on your own, because like nobody in the hospital really spoke English. And I still remember that hospital food.
Yeah. Mr. Roboto says, Jay Peterman, you most likely know it as Myanmar, but
Yep.
it will always be Burma to me. We've quoted that line from Seinfeld so many times in the last few days.
You most likely know it as Myanmar, but it will always be Burma to me.
Yeah.
Yep. And we've asked locals, which do you prefer, Myanmar or Burma? And they say both. Like, in our taxi driver coming in from the airport, he said Myanmar is sort of the official country
I think
name,
they really prefer it.
and Burma is sort of the nationality.
Yeah.
It's just like we might.
But it's only for a certain percentage of the population. So Myanmar is more inclusive to everybody.
So, we might say we're from the United States, we're Americans. You know what I mean? So, like, they kind of use both.
J.A. Grace says, do you need to request AC or hot water in some places? Bali is like this. You guys are wonderful to get tips and info from. I'm a newbie and looking to buy this year. Well, I'm glad that we've been helpful to you at some point. As far as requesting AC or hot water, we've never stayed anywhere where we had to request hot water. We have stayed places where you want to make sure that AC is listed in the, information before you book your room,
You
because
know,
there are places that you can stay where there aren't air conditioners. And
we've had that issue in London. I mean, there are
yeah.
a lot of hotels in London that are not air
Hmm.
conditioned. Most of the places we've been in Southeast Asia have been air conditioned.
Hmm.
We had some issues in Cambodia. Cambodia was not only very hot, our air conditioner was
It was
barely up to the
struggling.
task.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our new neighborhood commented and said we are planning a trip to Chiang Mai and Taipei for 2021.
Yeah.
We have not been to Taipei, but we have been to Chiang Mai, and it's beautiful. We really enjoyed it there. You're going to love it. There's a lot to do and see there, so you're
Yeah.
going to have a good time.
Chiang Mai is fantastic. I mean, it's the history and the culture, the Buddhist temples are fantastic. Yeah, well, that's where we did the elephant preserve. We went and we bathed the elephants.
Oh,
So
Edward Bush says, I have a house in the Philippines in Tacloban. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. He says, that's where I am retired. That's
yeah,
awesome. What a beautiful country to be retired in.
yeah. Edward's got it
Uh,
figured out.
yeah, people were asking where baby girl is. She's with my parents, living her best life.
Denise says we're looking forward to solar advice. We have one panel so far.
Well, you got more panels than we do at this point, but we're going to learn all we can about it
Yeah.
and
Well, I think we're gonna have
give you the scoop.
we're gonna have like 4 solar panels. We're gonna have several big lithium batteries, and I mean it's gonna be a pretty slick system. But with that said, it's being pieced together again by Ronnie using different components from different source companies. But the point will be you could watch this, and I mean, if you're a really motivated and skilled do-it-yourselfer, you might be able to upgrade your own. I mean, at the very least, you're probably going to learn a lot about what's involved with doing solar on your rig. So, we had some battery issues this past summer in the Grand Tetons. Our old batteries, with deep cycle batteries,
Kick the
got kicked
bucket.
out. And as many of you are probably finding out, and we got a message the other day about this, those batteries get drained down really quickly if you're running your heat furnace.
Hmm.
And because that fan, like blowing that hot air throughout your rig, just really drains those deep cycle batteries quickly.
Denise MDB60 said, I had chicken pox as an adult, caught it 5 weeks after I started teaching in a new city on my own. So she can obviously relate to your chicken pox debacle.
Yeah, I mean, when I got chicken pox, the funny thing is, I remember the little girl who was missing from my 4th grade class. She was a little red-haired girl named Tanya, and I went into class one day. I asked, "Where's Tanya?" And they said, "Oh, she's." They would say like, "Oh yeah, hori hori means ill. She's ill." I was like, "Oh no, she's ill." And I said, "What's wrong with her?" Because she was missing for several days. And they went up to the chalkboard and they drew a face and they drew little dots on the face. And at the time, I was thinking she has measles. I didn't really put
Chicken
2 and 2
pox.
together, but sure enough, it was chicken pox. And sure enough, Mr. Sean, the teacher, got chicken pox. Somebody else said that they enjoyed the
Oh
bio
no.
video.
Somebody says they got chicken pox and measles at the same
Wow.
time. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Wow.
When I was in college, there was a measles outbreak on campus, and the university inoculated the entire student body over the
Wow.
course of a few days.
Robert Brantley wants to know, what are your thoughts on electricity being a DIY project? Well, I think it
Uh,
depends on what the electricity issue is.
yeah.
If it's, changing a light switch, where you can get some pretty detailed information, if you're not familiar with it, you'll probably be okay. If it's something more involved than that and you don't have experience with electricity, then I would say let somebody else do it. It's just not worth it. You can really hurt yourself, or you could, damage your rig.
You could create a fire
Create
hazard.
a fire hazard that comes up down the road. So I think it just really depends on what experience you have, what knowledge you have. Do you have a friend that is really good with it that'll come help you? That sort of thing is something to take into consideration. So we're fortunate that my dad has pretty strong knowledge of electrical repairs, and so Anytime we've had to do something involving electricity, and we've been at home, he has been the one that we go to for that help. When we're on the road, if something has gone wrong, we've had to stop somewhere. We had an air conditioner issue a few years ago that we had to have repaired. It was a board that had gone out in the air conditioner. That was beyond our scope of knowledge to repair. Then he's helped us do some things in the past. So it just really depends on what the project is.
Yeah, what the issue is. Let's see.
Somebody says if you've had chickenpox, make sure you get the shingles vaccine. Too late. I already had the shingles when I was in high school. I know, totally random, but
all right, guys, we're coming up on 1 hour.
On the hour mark. We're so happy that you guys joined us to say hello. I think this next Sunday we'll be back to regular scheduled long honeymoon videos.
Yeah, this time of year we do sometimes do things a little bit differently, but a lot of people really up north, a lot of people, if you're not a snowbird, your RV is probably in storage.
Yeah, and
So
a lot
it's
of
sort of the
people
off-season.
in the South as well. Unless you're in South Florida or along the coast somewhere, you're probably not out RVing unless you have a rig that can withstand the winter temps, or you've got it set up for that, which most people don't. So this is sort of the slower season in the RV world, I guess you could say. So that's when we take the opportunity to do some non-RV traveling.
So I want to thank all of you guys for tuning in. I want to remind you, if you're on Instagram or Facebook, check us out just at Long Honeymoon, because we are posting some images from this trip on those places. Like, you'll see some really cool stories and some different just actual photos.
Something to
posted.
remember for Facebook, you do not have to request to join our Facebook page. That's an old group that we used to have on Facebook.
It's like impossible to delete.
That we can't delete. So it's just, I think it's facebook.com/long honeymoon. And all you have to do is click the thumbs up, like, and that's how you get to our page. The more you interact with our page on Facebook, the more it will pop up in your feed. So make sure you go in and like several photos, leave some comments, and then that will help it pop up in your feed. Same thing for Instagram. The more you interact with our Instagram account, the more likely you will see it in your feed on Instagram. So just know that. If you haven't liked or subscribed here on YouTube, please do that. It means the world to us to have you join the Loho Nation. And hopefully this has been a fun little chat with us to sort of catch up and see where we are and what we've been doing and what's coming this spring.
All right.
And we'll see you next Sunday in a new long honeymoon video.
And I want to give a special thanks to those of you who left some tips, including the fabulous Mike Lee.
Yes, Mike Lee.
Thank you,
so
Mike
much.
Lee. Dude.
We appreciate it.
It's greatly appreciated, but man.
Loloho.
Loloho. Thank you, guys.